Good morning, EJ. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am lovely. Okay. Okay, so as we still have people coming in, it is 8:02. I'll go ahead and get the meeting started. Good morning, everybody who's joining us thus far. My name is Kristen Henry, and I work for NMDC as a community development specialist. In addition to that, I also Um, I'm the secretary of MCDA, and we are bringing you the speaker series. We've had it every other Wednesday for a few weeks now, and we have a few more speakers to present. We'll go right into April, and we're bringing you this series out of a necessity to expand on the information that's already being shared throughout the state. We wanted to give our experts and our people who are passionate about the housing initiatives here in the state. We want to give them an opportunity to bring us some ideas and come together. EJ, do you want to tell them a little bit about MCDA?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. The Maine Community Development Association. Our purpose is to provide forums to increase awareness and foster communication relating to community development issues and concerns, like we're talking about today, and provide education and training through workshops. So we just want to thank everybody for joining this morning and look forward to a great discussion. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, EJ. And I do want to mention that these webinars are recorded and they are hosted on our website, maincda.org. If you need the link for that, feel free to email me and we can send that direct link to you. All right, so without further ado, Amanda, if you don't mind introducing yourself and you can go right into it.
Okay, great. First things first, can you guys see the correct screen that it says Housing Programs, USDA Rural Development?
Yep.
Perfect. I had a little bit of technical difficulty with my monitors this morning, so I'm glad that it worked out.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt. I will ask everybody to mute their microphone in an effort to help reduce background noise for Amanda's presentation. Okay, now I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much, Kristen, for having me and for organizing this series. I have been listening in and really enjoying everything that I've learned before. I'm Amanda Burke. I'm the Housing Program Director for USDA Rural Development for the state of Maine. I have been back with the agency since September, but I did work for the agency for 10 and a half years previously. So I have worked in all of our housing programs, guaranteed single-family housing, direct single-family housing, and multifamily housing. So I'm really happy to be back with this agency and working to support rural Mainers. I know a lot of you are aware of USDA rural development, but sometimes I think it slides a little bit how vast our programming is. Obviously, I selfishly am very much invested with our housing programs, but we do a lot of investing in funding in rural communities with infrastructure, energy projects, water and wastewater systems, high-speed internet initiatives. So really our goal here with USDA rural development is to not only invest in our rural communities, but to build stronger communities. That investment that we made in 2024 fiscal year was over $254 million assisting rural Mainers. Of that, $92.5 million was spent assisting individuals and families in Maine for affordable housing assistance. So that's something that I'm really proud of. My team works really hard and we obligated and served over 474 loans, grants, and loans guarantees in fiscal year 2024, which is quite an accomplishment. The USDA rural development structure is we have a national office located out of DC that assists and oversees our staff. Every state, well, I shouldn't say every state, 47 states have offices. There are a couple of states that share support teams from the state level, and then there are also area offices. You're going to notice on my slides that I've included some QR links for you guys to scan, and then I'll also have a list of resources at the end. I want you all to be able to look back and refer to what I'm giving you for resources and have that information available. So I'll have little QR codes, but you'll have it at the end, and then I'll get the slide deck to Kristen as well after this presentation. For the state of Maine, we have our state office where I am located here in Bangor, and then we also have 4 area offices throughout the state. As you can see, we are covered from Scarborough to Presque Isle, so we have pretty vast coverage, and if you are looking to get in touch with one of your USDA Rural Development local staff, it's not too far of a reach to for us to be accessible to you. So our single family housing programs are pretty vast, and I'm going to assume some of you have heard of these programs, and there's also maybe a few that you might not be as familiar with. But our goal is to work with individuals and families. We have programs that help them purchase homes, construct homes, improve homes, and we also have some programs where we provide assistance to entities such as nonprofits or tribes, and then they're able to administer those funds to, again, assist with construction, repair, and the purchase of existing dwellings. One of the programs that we have for home ownership is our Section 502 direct loan program. This is a mortgage program where the applicant applies directly through the USDA Rural Development, and the government is funding that mortgage. This program is geared towards very low and low income households. To give you an idea, a family of 4 might make less than $60,000 a year, and they could qualify for assistance for this program. In order to make the home more affordable, the agency has an extended repayment term. It's anywhere from 33 to 38 years, depending on the income and repayment ability of the applicants. That is a household income figure, so it's not just based on the applicant's income, but we will ask for documentation
I could hear
for
me
other
moving.
adult household
So
members.
I don't know what the hell's going on, but.
Hey, Brian, do you want to mute for us, please?
I saw the IT for Maine.
Thank you. The government also sets an interest rate for this program each month. It's below typically the market rate that's available for the month of March. That interest rate is 5.125% fixed. I think somebody would find it hard to beat that rate through any other lending programs that are available. But to even one up that, the government will subsidize that interest rate to as low as 1%. That's evaluated annually with the applicants, or our borrowers, I should say. We have them update their income once a year, and they could be repaying at any point throughout their 33 or 38 year repayment term. They could be repaying between 1% and their fixed note rate, but that subsidy allows them to support a higher purchase price, which in this market can be the difference between being able to get an accepted offer on a home or not being able to have one at all. There is recapture on that subsidy assistance, and that's a calculation that comes into play when that applicant finds himself in a position to either refinance that USDA mortgage, or in most circumstances, it's when they're ready to sell the home. But it won't exceed the amount of equity that they've earned in the property and the sales cost. So I get a lot of flack sometimes hearing about, oh, there's that subsidy recapture, but it's not as bad and scary as the rap you might have heard about it. With this program, the applicant is applying directly through the USDA Rural Development. So that map of the 4 area offices that I showed you before is where the application is being processed. My team here at the state office oversees and provides support to our team in the field, but you will have a live local USDA Rural Development representative assisting that borrower from the point of their application to the point that they get to the closing table. I'm really proud of my team that we have here. It has been cut a little bit recently, but the staff that we have is dedicated to the program. They all love the work that they're doing. They're as passionate about it as I am, and the feedback we get from our homeowners, as you see from this picture here, is about the help and assistance and really hand-holding people through the process. We don't just take an application and leave people to figure out the rest themselves. We're here to guide them through the process and make sure that we help them get that goal from application all the way to those keys in their hands. We also have help from local entities, nonprofits, with a certified packaging program. So this is one of those programs that I think is not as widely known about, but nonprofit organizations, other various lenders. We have a handful of packagers in the state. And what they do for USDA rural development is they actually market and provide outreach for our Section 502 program. They will work with the applicant to do an application, obtain all of their supporting documents, and once they've provided counseling to that applicant about their potential eligibility for the USDA Rural Development 502 program, that packager submits a completed application to the USDA. So it, on our end, drastically expedites the process, which is super helpful for me and my team. It also gives that applicant priority when it comes to funding availability, which is restricted throughout the year. So the packager is able to collect a fee for providing that service to the USDA and our client. So the packager does get some recognition for that. In order to become a packager, you do have to have affordable housing experience. We would require you to take a training course. There are certain states that work with intermediaries as part of the packaging process, but right now, rural development in Maine doesn't have any of those intermediaries, so we're working directly with the packagers. But this is definitely one of those points where I think that the people who are on this call might be able to, you know, especially if your organization is already a homeownership counseling provider, you might be able to become a packager, which is just that next step of not only educating about homeownership opportunities, but saying, and I think you might be eligible for rural development, and me and our staff here, we're going to help you work through that eligibility process. And again, the packager does get to collect a certain fee based on that for their services. So there is some compensation for their organization to pay the staff to assist with it. Right now, we have a few packagers that are primarily located in the southern half of the state, and I really would like to work with, you know, central and northern and maybe some eastern organizations and get more packagers on our roster. So the direct loan program, again, that applicant is applying directly to USDA Rural Development for assistance, and our staff here in Maine is supporting them. That's for very low and low income households. Now we also have our Section 502 guaranteed loan program. This is the program that serves that middle income that I know we're hearing a lot of talk about right now. Where is the assistance for them? In this case, we might be talking about a family of four that makes up to $110,000 a year. Those income limits do vary based on county and household size, but again, a much more vast income range. With the guaranteed program, that applicant is actually applying through an active guaranteed approved lender. I put a link on here to lenders in Maine. If you click on that link, you'll notice that some of those lenders are your local banks and credit unions that are right there in your town. Others of them are national lenders who approve to issue the program anywhere in the country. So we don't always have representation of those national lenders in the state of Maine, like a physical brick and mortar bank, but they are eligible for our program. This program is more of a standard mortgage term. Conventional, most conventional mortgages are typically 30 years. The guaranteed program is 30 years. The interest rate for this program is set by the guaranteed lender, so it's going to be at the market rate. Again, our direct loan program, the rate is currently 5.125 fixed with subsidy to as low as 1%. With this guaranteed program, you're probably going to find right now those interest rates are going to be in the 6 and 7%. But the toss up for that, or I should say the benefit to that, is it's a 100% financing program. So our direct loan program also doesn't require a down payment. With this program, and as far as I'm aware, other than VA loans for eligible veterans, there are no other true 100% financing programs besides USDA Direct and USDA Guaranteed. So huge help to Mainers with moderate income for not having to come up with a down payment. In addition to that, rural development guarantees the lender's loan against default up to 90%. So there's a very limited risk to those lenders to oversee this program for USDA rural development. Same as with the direct program, those clients can purchase a home, they can purchase and improve it, they can construct a new home, and there are circumstances where they're also eligible to refinance within the guaranteed program. With both, oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is one of our guaranteed recipients from 2 years ago, I believe. They did do new construction with their lender. And we also recognize our guaranteed lenders every year. We're really proud of those lending partners and the impact that they have for rural Mainers. So I want you guys to know how to refer those potential, whether it's a constituent or somebody from your municipality, somebody who steps into your nonprofit organization. Yeah, they're interested in housing. How do I get them connected to the USDA? How do I know whether or not they're even potentially eligible for assistance? So we have our income and property eligibility site. On that site, you can go through either the direct or the guaranteed program and look up information about, okay, this is where the house is going to be located. This is how many people who live in the household. Are they going to meet the income limits for that direct loan program, or will the guaranteed program be a better fit for them? It also allows you to pull up a property address and find out whether or not that property is going to be eligible for assistance through the USDA Rural Development. Right now in the state of Maine, the only ineligible areas are the city of Bangor itself, Lewiston, Auburn, and then Portland, South Portland, and Westbrook. What that means is 90% of Maine is eligible for assistance, meets the rural area definition for assistance. But if ever anybody has a question, you can go to this property and income eligibility site and pull up the maps, see what's eligible, or enter a property address for eligibility. A really awesome tool that we've created for homeowners who are interested in the direct loan program is our single family housing self-assessment. This is similar to lender programs. If you're looking for a mortgage and you start like Googling terms, you're usually going to find some sort of a JOT form where they say, what do you think your credit is? What do you have for income? What do you currently have for monthly obligations? And it runs a calculator and says, yeah, whether or not you might be eligible for assistance through that mortgage. Well, the USDA created that tool for our direct loan program, and it's a really helpful tool to just preliminary let somebody know whether or not they're eligible for assistance. And then it also allows the follow-up of submitting that assessment to your local USDA office so that we can transfer that information onto an application and move forward. So it's not a definitive eligibility determination, but it really gives somebody just with a quick, it takes minutes. We've run tests with it on some of our training calls. It takes minutes to do the self-assessment and see whether or not you think that you could be a fit for that program. And as I said, that is right now only available for our 502 direct funding program. With the guaranteed program, that applicant does need to take the next step and apply through a local lender to go through the pre-qualification process. So the other program that I oversee here in the state of Maine is our Section 504 Home Repair and Grant Program. This is actually a program, specifically the 504 loan, where I would love to see some more interest, and I'm hopeful that with this call outreach through you and always available for training as well, we can get some more eligible applicants, because the 504 loan program is one of our programs that does usually receive ample funding every year. What this program does, it's available for very low income households to provide improvements to make their house more safe and sanitary. We do a lot of accessibility improvements and outdated, lots of, but the terms of the loan are the most affordable home repair or home improvement program out there. It's a 20-year repayment term at a 1% interest rate. We can lend up to $40,000 on that loan. What that means is the maximum amount of assistance, that $40,000, is repayable at $184 a month. Not that somebody needs the maximum amount, we can lend up to that $40,000. But at $184 a month, that is the most affordable bang for your buck to do improvements to your home. And as the cost of materials and labor, those home repairs continues to go up, this program program has stayed the same. It's stayed affordable for Mainers to do those improvements to their home. The applicants do have to own and occupy their home to be eligible for this program. So when we run into circumstances with leased lands or mobile homes that are located in a park, we're really restricted on assistance that we can provide. So I just like to put that out there because again, that's a common misconception with the program, but you do have to both own and occupy. Up to $7,500, the only thing the applicant is signing for us is a promissory note where they agree to repay. Once we get over $25,000, we do have to do a full title exam on the property. So as closing costs come into play for services like title insurance, we finance those into the loan amounts that the applicant doesn't have to pay for that out of pocket. One of our most popular programs is the 504 grant program. That is specifically for elderly households age 62 or older. That helps those elderly households remove health and safety hazards from their home. A person can have more than one grant in their lifetime, but the maximum amount of that grant that they can receive is $10,000. So with that grant, the only stipulation, again, there's no mortgage placed against or lien placed against the property. The stipulation is that if that house is sold within 3 years, the amount of the grant is supposed to be repaid. We can, for elderly clients, combine both the loan and the grant program together and provide $50,000 in assistance, which can go a long way towards improving a home and helping Mainers stay in their homes. Through the 504 program, and these are some of the programs that pop up with a little bit of funding and they don't last forever, but this one has been around since 2022. We have a disaster program. Again, this is an area where I need help with outreach in communities that are affected by disasters to reach out to the USDA Rural Development when they hear that, you know, they're either meeting the criteria for a presidentially declared disaster or they have homeowners coming into like your town office asking for assistance because there was a flood and they had damage to their home. What is available for them? USDA Rural Development is available for them. This is a loan and grant program, again, meeting a lot of the same criteria as the standard Section 504 home repair loan and grant programs focused on those very low income households. In this circumstance, we do have the opportunity to grant up to $15,000 instead of just the $10,000 minimum. But the home must be a presidentially declared area. If you have questions about that, I can actually provide you a link to the website where you can check for presidentially declared disasters in your municipality. Again, the homeowner has to own and occupy the house. But we know that sometimes people have been displaced because of the disaster and the damage that impacted on their property. So we need that homeowner to be back in that house within 12 months of the improvements. But it provides assistance, again, for those health and safety repairs. In the case of Lucille here, there was major flood damage to her house. Obviously, when a disaster hits, it's not only just the physical damage, but it takes an emotional toll as well. And knowing that there's affordable assistance out there through these disaster loan and grant programs to help repair is just an awesome service that we at Rural Development provide to our rural Mainers. So these are more programs, and I know Kristen and I had spoke with this when I first became acquainted with her when I came back into my role, more programs that aren't getting enough attention right now. One of those is our self-help technical assistance grant. Okay, so this is one of those programs where rural development is not lending directly to the individual or the family. We're lending to an organization. So right now we only have one nonprofit in the state of Maine who is administering these self-help technical assistant grants for us, and that's CCI located out of Lewiston. Going to throw their name out there because as I start to talk about this program, people have interest. I know that they would be more than willing to provide assistance because they're restricted to their grants in the southern Maine area, and this program could really have a greater impact and a good fit for more areas in Maine. With the technical assistance self-help grant, we provide funding to the organization, they in turn work with homeowners to construct new homes or purchase and improve existing homes. They usually work in groups of 6. And those homeowners work with a construction supervisor provided by the nonprofit to build their homes together. So in similar capacity to habitat programs that are out there, these homeowners are getting sweat equity in their houses. They're working on each other's homes as they go under construction, and they're working on their own home. That has a huge impact of saving on the labor cost of the construction, which already is a great bang for their buck. But then most of the time they're getting the financing for the actual construction from the USDA Rural Development through that direct 502 program. So USDA kind of gets to double dip on this one, where we provide the technical assistance grant to allow that nonprofit to oversee the group of homeowners as they construct or purchase and improve their home. But then we also provide the long-term financing assistance to bridge that gap to home ownership. I can tell you that through this program here, I mean, you can see the smiling faces of my team member, Wendy, and that family on their new home. There is just so much pride when these houses come to completion and those homeowners take the keys to their house. The self-help program is very technical in the sense that in order to learn the program and know how to administer it properly, there are going to be some bumps along the way, but my team here at the state office, as well as, like I said, CCI, I'll throw them out there, could help guide people through that process. Grants are open once a year for the funding request, and I'll provide resources at the end about signing up for our newsletters and our publications that go out when those notices become available. Sometimes tied into that self-help grant is our site loans. Again, this is working with a lender and some sort of either a private nonprofit organization or a tribe to purchase a plot of property at affordable terms to then work with homeowners for construction of new homes. That self-help program can be combined where the same organization that's overseeing the self-help group of homeowners can purchase lots at these affordable terms and then use the self-help program to construct the homes itself, along with the 502 direct program for assistance. So again, tying all of those housing programs together, the ones that the USDA provides directly to the homeowner, as well as the ones that we provide to the nonprofits and tribes and other organizations to assist. Every year, the self-help program comes together for a fundraising dinner. Almost all of the families come back to catch up with each other, see how things are doing, and connect with the staff from USDA Rural Development and the nonprofit organizations overseeing the self-help program. And Wendy, who's my go-to for our self-help in the state of Maine, she's been overseeing that program for us for some time now, says it's always one of the best parts of her year to attend that dinner. Another program that USDA Rural Development has, again, not provided directly to individuals or families, but rather to an organization, is our Housing Preservation Grant. In the last couple of years, those grants have gone to community action programs and habitat programs. We provide the funds, and then they in turn administer them for the same eligible purposes that we would use our 504 home repair loan and grant funds for. So we're seeing removal of health and safety hazards in homes, accessibility being addressed. And this is something that municipalities can apply for, nonprofit organizations, and tribes. So the Housing Preservation Grant is another one of those programs. Once a year, they open up for funding requests. We'll publish that in the Federal Register that I can provide you all the link to. I will have to say, though, this is one of those programs where it is a grant program. At this point, we don't know if this administration is going to continue to fund this grant. So as of right now, this is still an existing program for us. We have active grants out in the state of Maine. that are providing assistance to individuals and families for those eligible repairs. Lots of contacts for you guys so that you can find information for us. You'll notice the bottom resource there is for our multifamily housing program. Their staff wasn't able to provide me anything to share for today's programming, unfortunately. But I know that people all the time get questions about these multifamily housing projects that are in your backyard. Tenants have questions about either their assistance that they're receiving, their vouchers, or they have questions about the condition of the property. So I field a lot of those questions here at my state office, even though I don't get to administer the multifamily housing program anymore. That's a centralized program. So I wanted to make sure that you guys had the contact. At that website, it does have a live link that changes constantly. So I couldn't give you the direct link, but as those projects are assigned to rural development staff, you can go to that website, click on the property assignments link on that website, and know exactly what USDA rural development staff member is going to be able to assist you with those projects. The bullet right above there for Gov Delivery, I would love for everybody to log on to that, subscribe with your email address, and you can choose what notifications you want to receive for various USDA rural development projects. But that is our best way to get information out. When the interest rate for the direct program changes every month, that is the website where we'll send out a blast notification. Hey, effective March 1st, the interest rate is 5.125% for the direct program. When a notice of funding availability rolls out, again, that information is shared through that Gov Delivery. So if you're interested in some of these USDA rural development programs for yourself, again, your constituents, the people that you're serving, that is the best way to get a hold of them. And I just wanted to share a couple of our success stories, because like I said, I'm really proud of the work that we're doing here for rural development with our Mainers. This is one of our self-help families at the completion of their home. Again, just happy to be there. I'm always proud to hear how excited people are with their home ownership and the assistance that they received from our team. Like I said, we will handhold them through the entire process. Our new constructions are absolutely stunning. And again, affordable home ownership, 33, 38-year repayment terms, subsidized to as low as a 1% interest rate, can get can get Mainers beautiful homes like this. And we do inspections throughout all phases of the process. So it's been kind of fun for some of my newer staff to see homes going in. That's what I got. I wanted to leave time for questions. Oh, and there's not much I can say about funding right now. I think you guys are probably all aware of this. We're operating under a continuing resolution that expires on March 14th. Right now, funds are exhausted for our 504 grant program through this CR. We're also exhausted for our 502 low income, and our 502 very low income is quite tight at this point. 504 loans is typically always available. And then our 502 guaranteed program was restructured several years ago to be self-funding. So that program never runs out of funding. Hopeful that we'll have another CR on March 14th and be able to continue to fund. We are always taking applications regardless of the funding process, and just being really, my team works to be very clear with all of our applicants that, the budget for our program does have an impact on how much assistance that we can provide. So right now I can't say much more than that on our funding, but we'll hope for great news next week.
Awesome, Amanda. Thank you so much. I know I have several questions, but I'll definitely leave it to the group to throw those out, and I will relay chat questions if we
Great,
have
thank
any
you.
of those. Yeah. Do you want to close your presentation? Just, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, that way I can see people and,
Yes, thank you.
um, see, it looks a little quiet right now. So one question that I have, with your certified packagers, I know you said you don't have a whole lot going on in the north, but would a CDFI or a regional council be appropriate for a regional council who's a CDFI? I don't, would that be appropriate for that type of funding or,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, absolutely. So the key piece there is having access to education about homeownership and affordable homeownership. We do provide training as part of that. There's a course. I'm pretty sure everything is online for those courses now, as opposed to us trying to schedule in-person courses. It's all available on the website. I think that that would be an excellent connection, Kristen.
And is the 1 year loan background a hard and fixed requirement?
No, no,
Okay.
because we can provide the education as well. It's easier if you have prior experience or knowledge of, affordable housing products, mortgage products that are available, but we can also teach.
Okay, excellent. And since we still don't have, I've got tons of questions.
I love it.
Denise, please, Denise, feel free.
Hi, yes. At any time, or do you guys ever come to a particular area, and more or less just kind of do a presentation with the community or the selectmen or the council, all that?
Well, what I can tell you is that when I worked with the USDA previously, that was one of my primary things. Was I did so much outreach for the program. From what I understand from my team, after COVID, they just got so used to not going out and providing that outreach. But that's one of my goals and focuses, Denise. So I'd love to get back in communities, because with those types of things, like I used to sit in on, town meetings, and I'd go to maybe elderly communities and speak with them about those programs, and word of mouth is the best way to provide outreach for our programs. So we are absolutely looking for opportunities to come and speak about those programs. Usually the 504 programs, those loans and grants, are the ones that people go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I could potentially be eligible for that. And because the USDA, I will say 10 years ago, that maximum loan amount was $20,000. We've stepped up to the fact that labor and materials are up and have doubled that loan to $40,000. So people can afford to fix their roof and maybe their furnace at the same time, or modify a bathroom and put in a handicap ramp, and modify their kitchen cabinets for kicks for wheelchairs and all of that. So those programs are amazing. And I'd love to either have myself or my team come out and speak to all of your communities and all of your organizations, because it's the best way to reach more people.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'm up in Calais, by the way.
So our Calais office is serviced by our Presque Isle area office, but let me tell you, they're not unaccustomed to driving out that way. So we would love to come to Calais.
Well, you guys need an office here.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're looking at any more offices right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I saw a thumbs up or a hands up from Jim and Deer Isle there. Did you have a question? There you
Well, I
are.
was mostly saying, great, I'd love to see you do a kind of regional tour and meet with at the regional or even the municipal level. I know in Deer Isle, we have a housing opportunity program grant we're trying to roll out. And what I guess if I had a question would be about any work on innovation around clustered housing, co-housing, efforts to reduce some of the long-term costs of having a house, like geothermal for a neighborhood group. There's research on that in Massachusetts now in Framingham, but I don't know if there's any innovation on that end, because what we need to look at not only is upfront costs, which is considerable, but also the annual maintenance costs of housing, including the energy costs.
I think that could be one of those things that could combine multiple of our programs, James. I mean, We have that site loan that's available that an organization or municipality could purchase a number of lots at affordable terms through a lender, develop those lots. So if you're looking at some sort of a geothermal structure, you would do that likely as part of that site loan. And then again, if we were looking to save costs, could we partner that with a self-help group where some of the labor would be done by the potential homeowners to offset some of the cost? And then rural development would come in with that 502 direct loan to provide the permanent financing. So, it's not a definitive yes or no, but the idea could work in principle to combine some of those rural development resources. And I think that innovative approach to how can we make this happen and how can we make it more affordable? The upfront cost of oftentimes those energy efficient improvements, be it solar, geothermal, is quite a shock in terms of numbers. So the idea of stretching it out, in a subdivision for affordable housing, that has weight, that could work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And since you mentioned the self-help, do you have the numbers to support or to talk about like what the average size of that? I've seen habitat developments around the country, and they're usually 3 or 4 houses in a little cul-de-sac and everything's good to go. So how does that compare? What average size of these developments? Do you have project examples that you can kind of throw at us?
Yes. So right now, the groups that they're working on, there's a group of 6 in process and a group of 6 that the organization is working on their eligibility. So the nonprofit runs the show from start to finish with oversight from the USDA. And then, of course, we're involved in the application process if the permanent financing for the house is coming from us. With that self-help program, it doesn't have to all be in a neighborhood. So I'm really glad that you asked this question. What they do try, though, is for regionally the group of self-help homeowners to be in like the same area. So I think the group right now is working in like Franklin and Androscoggin counties. The primary point of that is on weekends, they're traveling to each other's houses to work on them. So they try to cluster them together, but they're not always in the same town, nor are they always in the same county. So the biggest part that we have quarterly meetings with our self-help groups, and one of the biggest problems that they're finding right now is availability of lots to construct on. And then they are struggling with their purchase plus improvement side of things to find a house that's affordable in the first place, because I said they're in southern Maine, and that area, USDA can lend up to $437,000, which I still think is a sizable loan amount and a sizable purchase price. But in southern Maine, that's only getting them so far. So they've expressed to us that their biggest complaint right now is their purchase plus improvement program is almost non-existent because they can't find affordable houses to begin with that would make sense for the appraisal, because obviously the house has to appraise for at least what it costs to purchase plus improvement. So most of their homeowners right now are doing new construction. And again, finding sites that are available to build along with the building codes in some of those municipalities does make things difficult. But yeah, they work in those clusters. And again, it doesn't have to be all of the houses in the same neighborhood. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay. And oh wait, we have one from the chat before I ask all the other ones I have. Do any of your programs cover saving outbuildings? We've heard of seniors on fixed income, so have stayed on top of their home maintenance, but can't afford to shore up the garage or replace their barn roof, for example.
So outbuildings can sometimes fall under the caveat of the health and safety standards. If somebody is purchasing through our direct loan program an existing home, they would absolutely be able to either, and obviously this is often a cost analysis, either tear that property or that outbuilding down or improve it to bring back its safety standards. With garages, I'm usually seeing it's the electronic part of the garage door sometimes is no longer safe, or the roof was leaking, or there's, other structural issues. Obviously, if that outbuilding is attached, we're going to repair that as part of the 502. And if it's detached, we'd like to see it repaired as well. With the 504 program, if that outbuilding was not attached, I think it would be more of a stretch to try to improve it, because we really do try to focus those dollars on the dwelling itself. And then I will say that the guaranteed program also would have availability to be able to repair those outbuildings, barns used for storage, or detached garages.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Can you talk about some maybe innovative programs that you've seen in your experience there that could be transitioned to support possibly a municipal project, or even just a really cool project in general? Kind of give us some ideas to start with.
Well, so I can only speak on the housing programs, and I really feel like there's a lot of potential to expand the self-help program. And as long as it continues to be funded, our HPG, or as it's called, Housing Preservation and Grant Program, it seems that the funds that we provide directly to individuals and families are what are most known, and also the programs where, because they have so much popularity, where we tend to run out of funding. So I'd really like to see us expanding the self-help program, and as long as it continues to be funded, that HPG program to provide assistance to more nonprofits and municipalities and tribes to, in turn, just because you guys have the trust of the people that you serve. They come to you first, oftentimes, before they come to us. And so I think it'd be great to expand those programs. We also do, as I mentioned at the beginning, though, have so many programs available for municipalities when it comes to other services. And our teams here in our community programs and business and industries programs are doing a lot of work with that. At one of our last senior staff meetings, they were talking about a new timber harvesting program that's being administered through our BNI, and I immediately thought of like some local businesses that I was like, oh, I wonder if they'd be interested in that program when funding becomes available. So I wish I could speak more about those programs, but they're not, unfortunately, my area of expertise.
Denise.
Hey guys, so you said next week you'll find out more about what kind of funds that you're gonna receive, what's gonna be available. How competitive are these programs specifically?
So that's a really great question. As I said, so for the 502 guaranteed program, where the applicant is applying through a lender, that program has been restructured to essentially be self-funding, so that never runs out of funds. So anytime we have somebody who's applying to us for a mortgage, for home ownership, if our funding is limited, we also always recommend that they talk with a guaranteed lender just to see how much purchasing power they'd have through a guaranteed loan. Our direct loan programs are very competitive. We operate on a waiting list pretty much consistently. We have priority processing. So for example, a packaged loan or a self-help loan would get funding first because we're tapping into joint resources. When the CR comes out, usually everything that we have in the state of Maine is able to be funded. But then as either, the annual budget is approved, or we go through the course of the federal fiscal year from October 1st to September 30th, our funds are exhausted every year. The states always get an allocation, and then when we hit a certain part of either funding availability or at a certain part in the fiscal year, the national office pools those funds. And then it's first come, first serve. We're requesting that money on a weekly basis and hoping that our applicants get funded. The 504 grant program because I mean, it's a $10,000 grant that isn't repayable as long as you don't sell your house within 3 years. That program's funds are always used up first. Not only in the state, but nationally, those funds are exhausted first. But that 504 loan program is really well funded historically. And with the access to that funds, you know, we will say to somebody who wanted a grant, do you think you could afford, you know, $20 a month loan repayment, and we could get you a loan for that repair instead and get you funded sooner? So we have to look at things sometimes a little bit creatively, depending on where we are at in our funding cycle. But it's a problem for our program that it's a good problem to have, I think, that we're so popular that we exhaust our funding, but we would love to see obviously more funding for our housing programs here at RD.
Right. And you also mentioned that a municipality could purchase land
Mm-hmm.
for the self-help program. And then once the project is completed on the land, then that particular note gets transferred to the new homeowner and enrolled into part of their.
So they could potentially purchase land through the site loan program,
Right.
with the target of affordable housing. And as I've listened to these calls and had some conversations myself with other individuals and organizations, I'm hearing that this is something municipalities are talking about doing to help bring people into their towns and make it more affordable. So I recommend the site loan for that program for the home purchase. And then if we have somebody set up for self-help, that's an excellent way to construct a new home, getting that sweat equity, reducing the labor cost, and ultimately the cost of the home. Would it be a requirement? Absolutely not. If a municipality wants to come in and purchase a piece of property and subdivide that for affordable housing, they could also just recommend to individuals who are interested in purchasing those lots, you might be eligible for 100% financing to construct this house through the USDA Rural Development. And that person could in turn go to their local USDA Rural Development office to inquire about new construction through a direct loan, or go to one of our approved lenders and look at 100% financing through the guaranteed loan program. So, you know, it's not a hard and fast, if you do this, then we have to do that. But these options are available. And I think that one of the biggest caveats is people are so concerned, oh, I want to be a homeowner, but I don't have 3.5%, 5%. Some people still think you need 20% down to purchase a home. And I'm always shocked when I hear that, because I've been mortgage lending for over 20 years now. And when people think, well, I don't have money for a down payment, I'm like, you don't need one. You know, rural development is out there to assist you. And with that 100% financing, I should add that as long as the appraised value is higher than the purchase price, we're also rolling in closing costs so that those don't have to be paid for out of pocket either. So, you know, usually the applicant is putting a deposit on the house, and I've seen those as little as $100. I'd say more 500 or 1,000 are pretty typical for the deposit. And then their first year's homeowner's insurance premium. But other than that, they're buying a house for very little money out of pocket, which is just a huge help if you're making that bridge from renting or living with family to home ownership, to be able to save those assets and finance your repairs as well. We have home inspections done as part of that 502 Direct program, and then we also have an appraisal done as well. So as repairs are identified, if the seller isn't willing to concede to pay for them, as long as the appraised value is there, again, we're financing those repairs to be completed after closing, but we're financing them in the loan amount to limit that out-of-pocket expense and make sure that these homes that our applicants are purchasing are modest, decent, safe, and sanitary. Those are our kind of caveats.
Mm-hmm. And does, let's see, I don't know, had a question and then it just went because I didn't write it down fast enough.
It's a Wednesday that feels like a Monday.
Yeah, and I had to be here at 8.
Sorry about that, Denise.
It's all good.
That's my fault.
It's been a great way to start the day, Kristen. I like I said, I have really enjoyed all of these sessions and all of the speakers that you've brought on, and I'm just so you know, privileged that you invited rural development to be a part of the conversation. I hope that everybody has learned a little bit of something. And if I've just stimulated your brain a little bit and you have more questions, I will provide the slide deck to Kristen, and all of the contact information and the resources are on there. And we would love to have conversations. I'm happy to set up, Teams meetings individually, or if you'd like us to come meet in person, if you'd like us to do some training for, some sort of a session that you guys are having for your organization or your municipality, we are available to assist you guys, and we welcome the opportunity to provide outreach for these programs, because the more people we can reach, the more impact we're going to have on our rural Mainers. And like I said, last year we did 92.5 million. Maybe this year we could do 100 million.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amanda. I know that I have a pretty hard stop here. Jennifer, in the chat, Jennifer with Swans Island, can you provide your contact info? If you want to pop that into the chat, that would be awesome. I do have a hard stop, but I have one more question, I guess. And you're a co-host, so if I hop off and people still have questions, are you okay sticking around?
Sure.
Fantastic. Can USDA RD funding be included in an overall capital stack for, I know you're like, single housing, but can it be included in some sort of capital stack for development for larger?
I believe most of our programs need a targeted focus. So if you're talking about a capital stack and it doesn't have a specified purpose, I'm not sure how that would play out. The community programs targets really municipalities and tribes for infrastructure type assistance. The business and industries program might be available, though, Kristen. They have a vast amount of programming that I do not even know everything that they provide. So if you'd like, I'll add to the slide a deck with the contact information for our community programs director, as well as our business and industries program director, so that if other people have those questions like you do, you know exactly who to follow up with.
Perfect. Amanda, you're amazing. We appreciate you so much. You're a wealth of knowledge. Before we end this, if nobody has any additional questions, just want to remind you that we will get all this information up, the slide deck, a recording of this webinar, any information that we have, copy of the chat, so you have access to Amanda's information moving forward. We'll get that up on the main MCDA.org website within the next day to 2 days. We're usually pretty good about getting it up quickly. And as a reminder, next week we have, I want to say, you setting this up, you think I would have memorized all of this here. So next week, oh yeah, Charlotte. So Charlotte met with MCOG, will be here discussing housing data methodologies that they're using. It's super interesting. I hope that you guys join us and share this information with other people so they can join us too. If no other questions, you guys can get back to your day.
Thank you.
I
Thanks,
did have
Amanda.
one more question, sorry.
I'll let you
Sure.
guys do that.
I remembered. I know each rural area has their own AMI scale. How do I get mine for Callis and Baileyville up here?
Yes. So that's going to be on the income and eligibility link on my slide. But while I've got you right here on the chat, let me just drop that directly in here so people can copy it if they are interested. On that eligibility site, you'll see that there's a direct single-family housing tab, a guaranteed single-family housing tab. There's, my favorite is the income limits, which will just pull up a map. You click the state of Maine, and it's right there organized by category, by county, Denise, where you can look and say, like, Washington County, 1 to 4 person household, what's my income limit for that program? And then just to give you an idea, because I had pulled that up just in case, a 1 to 4 person family can earn up to $65,900 gross income a year, or 5 to 8 person, $87,000 a year to meet the low and income standard for the direct loan program. For the guaranteed loan program, that jumps up to $112,450 or $148,450 for a 5 to 8 person household. So a substantial amount of income, really, for what we're looking at for an average income in Maine and still be able to meet the eligibility criteria for those direct and guaranteed programs.
Okay. And it's by the county, not by the municipality.
Correct. We have
Okay.
counties. You'll notice because those are adjusted based on the county, the southern Maine counties are going to have higher income limits than we do here. They also have
Right.
higher purchase price eligibility. Here is the direct link to that map for your reference too.
Let's see.
And if anybody wants links before Kristen is able to upload the slide deck, take down my email address, the amanda.burke@usda.gov. Fire me off an email and I can have any of those links transferred to you.
Okay, amanda.burke@usda.gov.
Yep, and it is Burke.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, this is a conversation we have all the time up here is how can we improve our housing, because we're trying to improve population. How do we
And
improve housing?
And coincidentally, the two go hand in hand.
I know.
And I think that the biggest caveat again is affordability of that housing. And that's not just with the purchase price, it's with those monthly payments because we're all on a budget. We're looking at where those dollars go every month. And that direct loan program, it doesn't sound that much different, a 33-year repayment term or a 38 over a 30-year, but it makes a huge impact on that monthly payment. And once we combine the payment subsidy for that direct loan program, it just helps people's dollars stretch farther. And it could be the difference between a house that doesn't meet your needs and a house that exceeds them for these homeowners. We're often working with people in overcrowded situations. We've dealt with applicants who are dealing with homelessness, more than I'd like to hear, that have terrible landlord situations with their current rental properties. And they're just looking to get their family into something that's safe. And sometimes we're able to get them closer to their school or their work or, whatever that may be. They're really excellent programs. And then the other step of that is the 504 home repair and grant program. If I already own my house, it's probably my most affordable option for housing. So how do I stay in that home when these repairs are getting ahead of me and I can't afford to do them? So that 504 program builds the gap and provides that assistance for the home repair and improvements to make the house safe, accessibility issues as people are aging in place, aging in homes. That program is such an excellent fit at really affordable terms.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, have a lovely day. And thank you again so much for your time.